it's Dorothy Guiding with Scrapbooking Quebec, and today I'm participating in Stretch the Sketch. I'm going to take this Creative Memories 12 by 12 sketch and turn it into this, a double page layout. What I do today is what I usually do to stretch a sketch, and I will talk you through the process as I create. This is a YouTube hop, so I will put links to the other participants below. Now, some of us are going to be stretching it like this, others shrinking it, but one thing is certain, we are all adapting this sketch and walking you through it. Here's what I'm going to be using. It's my April 2020 stash kit, which is based on Echo Park's coffee collection. So I did do a bit of preparation in advance. I took 4 pieces of cardstock and made 2 frame style foundations, and I gutted 2 of them. With the black cardstock that I gutted, I matted my photos. And here's the paper I'm going to be using. I have 2 full sheets plus some strips of paper. Basically, you need scraps for this. And I have stickers and some ephemera and a few other things as well. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to place my photos, or how I plan to anyway. And obviously you're going to see the sketch in a minute. It doesn't at all look like how the sketch does. And that is because when I take a sketch, I look at it in layers. Now I have the foundation pieces, and in this case for me it's the frame style foundation, which isn't even on the sketch. It's just what I like to do, as well as that border on the left hand side. That's what I'm creating right now with 1-inch strips of paper. The photos, I'm going to use 3, and the orientations are different, but the way I look at the photos, it's like a block to me. What I see when I look at this sketch is that on the right hand side of this page, I just have to fill it up with photos. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So I'm cutting down these strips of paper, and I have 4 different printed papers plus that graph paper there, which is going to be my journaling spot. If you look on the sketch, the 4th strip down is a journaling spot. You're going to see when I place these strips on the page, the first thing I'm going to do is kind of look around for a pleasing design and different lengths. So I'm looking at that. I'm not really worried about the length of each strip. What I want it to look like is just a bit random. Some are longer, some are shorter. And the measurements I'm going to put on the screen, all I'm going to say about this is they are 1 inch wide. I'm using 10 instead of 11 like on the sketch. And the longest one on this page is 4.5 inches long, and the shortest one 1 3/4 inches. What I'm going to do is adhere this just over the next 30 seconds, and I apologize for being out of focus. I am using a really old camera right now because mine is in the shop and I have absolutely no idea when I'm going to get it back now. However, this only lasts for about 30 seconds and then I go back into focus, so I apologize for that. So I'm just cutting these down, looking for a pleasing look to my eye, and I'm going to adhere it all to the page. When I'm creating this sketch right now, what I'm going to do is, instead of making one giant layout over 24 by 12 inches, it's almost like I'm making 2 separate layouts. As you can see, I'm just working on that sketch right now. But what I'll do in a minute is I'll start creating a coordinating page. And I often do that. I always make double page layouts. And whenever I use a sketch, often they are for single page layouts. There's tons of sketches out there for single page layouts. So what I often do is make the page and then create a coordinating page. And so that's what you're going to see me do here today. So I'm finished with this one. I have to finish it later on with title and journaling and decorations, but the foundation is there and the photos are there. So now I'm working on page 2. So what I'm going to do basically is create a page but repeat certain elements from the first page. So I also have 3 photos. They are completely different than what you see on the first page, And I am going to create a border, but in this case, it's not going to go all the way down. I'm going to create a border that's going to more or less go towards the top of the page, kind of the top right of the page. And again, same thing in varying lengths. They are a bit longer than the other side. So I'm repeating this element, but I'm not actually mirroring it. You could do that too, but that's not what I'm going to do here. So how I'm creating this coordinating page, I'm simply repeating certain elements. So I adhere those to the page. I'm happy with the placement. And now what I'm going to do is decorate my page. I know where the journaling is going to go because I have those two spots with the graph paper within the borders on both of the pages. So now what I'm going to do is create basically a visual triangle with 3 embellishment clusters across these 2 pages, and that will unite the 2 pages together into one giant layout. I showed you 3 doilies I had there. I made them off camera with vellum. And now what I'm doing is taking a cut apart sheet, and I just used a circle die and cut out a circular element. The embellishment cluster that I'm going to put on the right page is going to be the main embellishment cluster. And I often do that. It's kind of like the end of the layout. You know, you kind of start on the left and end on the right. So I'm going to have 2 smaller embellishment clusters on the left, one around the title that's going to be towards the bottom, one in that top cluster of photos where you see me working right there, and the largest one is going to be on the right page, and that basically is going to be kind of wrapping around that photo of me with a coffee there. So I have, aside from those doilies and that circular element, I have pieces of ephemera and stickers, and I'm just playing around. I'm working on all 3 clusters at the same time. I'm looking at repeating color, repeating shapes. I just want them to be pleasing to the eye. And when I create these embellishment clusters, whether they're small or big embellishment clusters, I always start with the larger pieces and finish with the smaller pieces. Now at this point, I'm going to stop and I'm going to adhere all of this to the page, but I will come back and add a few more smaller pieces. But at this point, I have everything kind of, you know, tossed around the page, and I will just be able to look at it better once it's adhered to the page at this point. I'm more or less happy with the placement, so I can adhere it, but I will come back and do a few more finishing touches. I had a little bit of difficulty with the vellum, simply because it's always difficult to adhere vellum, especially in this case, because the dies that I used made these really lacy doilies, so there wasn't a whole lot of area to add adhesive to. So basically what I did was I tucked it underneath the letters so you couldn't see it, and when I adhered the doilies halfway under the photos, I just made sure there was adhesive underneath the photos. So I'm continuing around with my embellishment clusters, and I'm happy with that. I'm adding some cardstock behind some of the stickers and ephemera pieces just so that I could pop it up on foam adhesive. And there I go with smaller pieces right now. So that's a little coffee cup that I'm putting down towards the bottom on foam adhesive. I add that little pink banner there, but I end up taking that off in a little bit of time when I come back. Now I'm adding a reinforcer to that tag on the right. So I used a hole punch and a circle punch, and then I'll get out a little bit of that twine from Lawn Fawn to add a little bow to it. I'm having a look here, and I decide to add a repetition of those foam thickers that are on the left. I want to put them on the right. So I add the year there, 2020. And now what I'm going to do is add some faux stitching within all of those strips that don't have anything on top of them. The ones that don't have a title or don't have 2020 and all that. So I'm using a template by Stampin' Up! And a paper piercing tool, and what I did was poked holes along half of those strips, and then I joined them together with a pen. I'm now coming in and still having another look, and I decide to remove that pink banner from below and add another little coffee cup in, having a look at it, and all I really do after this is I add my journaling up in those 2 strips within the border, and that is it. So For this particular Stretch the Sketch, all I did was I basically created two layouts. They could each stand alone on their own. And what I did was I united them together by obviously using the same material, but I also simply repeated certain design elements like that border, and I also united them together with visual triangles, basically 3 embellishment clusters that went across the 2 pages, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to Scrapbooking Quebec if you haven't already, and be sure to check out the other participants. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.